Hey guys, we're tapping trees today. It's a beautiful day. It's a little bright if you can't tell. I think it's what, 48,
It's
50?
no, it's in the 40s, the low 40s right now.
Perfect day for playing out in the woods and tapping trees.
So what that means is we're actually taking a maple tree, and you have to have a good sized maple tree, 8 inches or more in diameter, and you're going to drill a small hole in it and then insert a tap or spile, depending on what terminology you want to use, into that hole, and that will allow the sap, as the sap cycles from the roots of the tree up to the top of the tree, depending on temperature changes throughout the day, and it's going to divert that through the sap, or excuse me, through the spile and into either a bag or a bucket, depending on what system you use.
There are fancier systems that have vacuum uh, systems through the tubes and whatnot, but unless you're a big operation, you don't need anything like that.
Yeah, or you want to put up with the hassle of having all the lines in all year
Yeah.
round and everything, keeping them clean. So what you're looking for as far as the time of year to do this, you want to do it in the early spring when overnight temperatures are below freezing and daytime temperatures are above freezing. So like yesterday and today are in the mid to low 40s. Overnight it's getting down in the upper 20s. So that's going to force that sap up through the tree and then down through the tree depending on the temperature. Um, you could technically tap earlier in the year, but you're not going to see any results, and you're just going to have a hole in the tree for longer than you need.
The part of the reason that we pick this time of the year to tap too is because the concentration of sugar in the sap is higher than if you wait a little bit longer in the spring.
Also, too, the season is entirely weather dependent. If you stop getting the nights that are below freezing, the trees will actually start to bud out. When they start to bud out, the sap will actually turn bitter, and then your syrup will taste weird. So the setup we have, we're using bags. Some people use buckets. We've used buckets in the past.
We've
Um,
used milk jugs in the past
we've
too.
used milk jugs in the past too. We've gone as inexpensively as possible at different points, and then on other days we've upgraded. I want to say this is the 5th or 6th year we've done this, probably.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't count.
And then I've done it for a few years with my grandpa when I was far younger. Um, some of the pros and cons about a bucket: um, they're more rigid, they're harder to break when you're just carrying them through the woods. However, if they fall off the tap and land on the ground, they're more likely to break. Also, the hole that you hang the bucket with can break. And then they're open on top unless you add a cover, which is an added cost and another thing to
Yeah,
store. Then you can actually start getting some sediment in your sap that you need to filter out.
which is more time consuming and
Yeah.
putsy.
Um, Another drawback of the buckets is you can't tell how full they are until you go up and walk up to one and pick it up and find out, oh, there's some in here or there's not any in here. With the bags, you can actually see the level of the sap raise in the bags, and they'll actually start to billow out when they're full. So if you're just coming out to check and see if the sap's running, you can take a quick glance, see if your bags are half full, quarter full, or whatever, and if you need to go and empty them or not.
And if you're running just a small operation where it's just a handful of bags, it's not a big deal to collect it. But when you're doing, you know, just throwing a number out there, 25 plus, and you've got a busy day because we're all human and we have jobs and kids and whatnot, and you gotta determine whether or not that priority is up there on the list. Sometimes it's nice to just take a quick glance and be like, it can wait a day.
Yeah. We're going to move on to a new area and we'll kind of go through the whole process. All right, so you come up to your maple tree, you want to tap the south side because that's normally the warmer side of the tree, and then you want to find where a root comes out. You want to find where a root comes out the base. In this case, it comes out roughly here, so we're going to tap in line here. Now, height doesn't matter so much as long as your bag's not going to be sitting in the snow and it's not going to be 8 feet off the ground. So then with the appropriate size drill bit, we got 5/16 taps we're using right now, so it's a 5/16 drill bit. We're going to drill in and drill at an angle upwards so that the sap will flow out. And of course the battery dies as I go to show you what it is we're doing. So we're going going to finish the hole. Normally you want to drill 2 to 2.5 inches deep. We're going to take our tap, put it in the correct way. We want this fin facing up because that's what we're going to hook our bag onto. These bags have a nice hole right here where the tap will go through that, tap or spile, whatever you want to call them, and then the sap will drip into there.
And now we wait.
So that's one tree, on to the next one.
If you look closely, you can see the drip of the sap coming out.